What you just now saw is a non-compliant device which it is failed to comply with the company security policy. This device is automatically blocked from the corporate network. No manual intervention, no help desk ticket, just ClearPass and Intune, enforcing the correct user role to this device. In this video, I am going to show you exactly how to build this integration from the scratch. By the end of this video, you will have Aruba ClearPass directly talking into the Microsoft Intune to check devices the compliant state. And also, if you stay until end of this video, I will also tell you about the part 2 of this video series, which it is certificate based authentication by using the Aruba ClearPass and the Intune. So let's start the video. If you are new here, my name is Tarindu. Today I am covering a lot of people asking from me, how do you integrate Aruba ClearPass with the Intune to get the compliance state of the devices. Before we jump in, let me clear who is this video is for. If you are a network engineer who is have Aruba ClearPass background, and if you want to integrate ClearPass with the Intune, this is the video is for you. And if you are a IT admin, you already have an Intune experience and you want to integrate your Intune with your NAC solution, so this is the video is for you also. So this work both of you. I will explain both side as we go. First thing we need to do is create an app registration in Microsoft Entra ID. This is what give ClearPass permission to call the Microsoft Graph API and query the Intune device data. So let's logging into the portal.azure.com by using your Azure username and password, and then in the this top corner you can either type the Microsoft Entra ID or else you can click on in here, then you will get it into the Microsoft Entra ID section. The first thing is now we have to create the app registration. So let's jump into the manage, and here we will click on app registration and then give a decent name for this one. I will select ClearPass Lab. This one you can keep it as a single tenant and then click on register. So you can see the app creation is done. So in this integration mainly we need three components, which it is client ID, tenant ID and the client credential. So you can see already we have client ID and the tenant ID, so we need to create the client credentials also. So let's create the client credentials now. Certificate or secret. Okay, let's create the new client secret. I will click on this one and give a decent name. I will use ClearPass key, and the date the month I will choose, it's a 90 days, and then I will click add. You can see it is created. So in here we need this value ID, so I will copy this one and then I will keep it saved because we need these three. This is the third detail which we required. Like I mentioned, all of these three attributes are required to join ClearPass with the Intune. The permission for this one to fetch the detail. So I will come into the API permissions. From here I will select add permission. From here we will select Microsoft Graph, and from here I will select the application permission. From here I will type actually device management config, device management manage device, and I will select the privilege operation all and the read all, and I will click on add permission. Still it's not done, so I need to add again. I will come to the add permission, Microsoft Graph application permission. From here I will select group read all, group, you can see group. I will select read all. Again I will not give the write all, I will select the read all only. I will add permission. So all these three permission, this one by default it is there, so all these three permissions I will select, and then we need to grant this one. So you can see this tick mark, grant admin consent for test company, which it is my tenant. I will click on that one and click yes. So you can see all these three become, the permission is granted. Now let's go into the ClearPass and add those three values which we collected from the Intune, and then we will add that one into the ClearPass extension. Let's jump into the ClearPass now. Okay, from the ClearPass, I will logging into the ClearPass. I will go to the guest module, administration, extension, install extension. So you can see ClearPasses have bunch of extensions available. Example like we can go with Intune, Intune Skip, JAMF, JAMF for School, Meraki, Defender, and Palo Alto Global Protect. So there are a bunch of extensions available, but for our lab we will use Microsoft Intune. You can click on this one and click on install, then it will start installing the app into the your ClearPass. I already installed that one, so I will come into here. I will click on the configuration. So if you remember, we collected three values. So right now I am going to modify this value with the values which we collected. I already copy those values. I will paste it in here. First I will select the client ID. I will copy that one, and then I will paste it in here. And the second one is tenant ID. I will paste the tenant ID also. Third one is secret. Copy the secret key. And I will click on the restart extension after updating the configuration. I will click on save. So you can see now extension is restarting. So we will wait few minutes to show the details, what kind of details it is fetching from the Intune. Okay, now you can see sync is completed, one device is added. So let's jump into the ClearPass and the endpoint repository. So in here, yes, we can see our device is sync with the ClearPass endpoint repository. So we will click on the attribute. So we can see the Intune attributes are fetched into the ClearPass. You can see the username, is it compliant or not. So many details it will showing in the ClearPass now. So our integration is success. The client ID, tenant ID, and the secret, it is fine, and the PC details also fetch into the ClearPass. I will show you in my Intune. So devices, all the devices. So this is the device name. You can see the same device, it is showing in the endpoint repository also. So this is the device. So integration is success. Quick note here, you will see there is an option to use Intune as an real-time HTTP authorization source. I want to transparent about this one. This method is designed for certificate-based authentication, which the Intune device ID is embedded into the certificate. Since we are doing in the PEAP based authentication in this video, we will use endpoint database instead of that one. So which is actually faster, since there is no external API call during this. We will bring the part 2 also in this video series. In that one we will use the real time HTTP method with EAP-TLS. Now let's build the policy stack. Let's start with the enforcement profiles. This is what ClearPass will tell network device what to do after the client is authenticated. So let's start the enforcement profile. Okay, go to the configuration. enforcement and the enforcement profiles. I'm using Aruba Radius enforcement. I will call this one as Intune full access, and because I'm already created some roles in the control, I will show you that one also. So we will match those roles in the controller. So I created these roles. I will exactly match this one in the ClearPass also. Intune full access, the enforcement profile name, the role name I will define as Intune full access, and I will click on save. The other one is Intune non-compliant. I will copy this one also, and then I will come into the enforcement profiles. I will create a new one, Intune non-compliant, and the attribute I will enter the role name here, which I copied from the controller, Intune non-compliant, and I will click on save. So before creating the enforcement policy, we will create our roles. So I will click on the roles, identity roles, and in here I will create two new roles. I will name them as Intune compliant, and the other one I will name as Intune non-compliant. Now I will create the role mapping. I will click on the role mapping and I will click on it. I will mention this one as Intune role mapping policy. Default role I will keep it as a other, or else you can create another role for that one, like Intune unknown or something like that. Then you can map that one, but in here I will use the other, and I will come into the mapping roles. I will click on add rule. Matching condition I will keep it as any. Then I will click on the drop down. I will select the endpoint, and in here I will select the Intune compliant state, and then I will select equals. I will select compliant. If it is compliant, I will assign Intune compliant role to that client, and then I will click on save. I will copy the same one. Instead of compliance equal, I will select not equal compliant. So if it's not compliant, not equal to compliant, I will mention that one as Intune non-compliant client, and then I will click on save. So you can see clearly the role mapping policy. Intune compliant state equals, it is showing as a compliant, then it will assign the compliant, but if it is not equal to the compliant, then it will assign the non-compliant. I will click on save now. Now let's create the policies, enforcement policies. I will click on the enforcement policies. I will click on that. I will name this one as Intune enforcement policy. Enforcement type is radius. Default one I will select deny access, and I will click on the roles evaluation algorithm is select first match. I will click on add rule. In here tips role equals, if you remember you can say it now, yes, it is Intune compliant, and if it is compliant we will assign Intune full access enforcement profile, and I will copy this one. I will edit it. Tips role equals Intune non-compliant. I will assign Intune non-compliant enforcement profile. So enforcement policy also done. I will click on save. Now let's modify our service. I will click on the configuration service. We already have wireless staff wireless authentication service. I will click on this one. In here I will, in this video we are using only EAP, so I will keep the EAP. Our authentication source is Active Directory and our authorization source. Additionally, I added the endpoint repository in here, and in the roles we will select the role mapping policy which we configured. So this is our role mapping policy, and in the enforcement policy I will select our enforcement policy which we configured. So all the things are done now. I will click on save. So we will start testing our wireless user right now. I will connect my test laptop into the staff SSID, and then let's verify how is our access tracker is behaving. So let's jump into the testing now. So I have Windows laptop. It is already enrolled into the Intune, and in the Intune I have created the compliance policy which it is required. The laptop, it should require the BitLocker encryption, but right now this laptop is not enabled with the BitLocker encryption, so this laptop is showing as the non-compliant device in the Intune. And ClearPass is already synced with the Intune and database is updated, and this laptop is showing as the non-compliant laptop in the ClearPass also. So let's connect our laptop, see how it is showing in the access tracker. So after the compliance policy change, so you can see in the Intune now it is showing as a non-compliant. Also in the ClearPass, if you check right now, the attributes also updated into the non-compliant. So let's connect our Windows client. I will logging into the LX PC. Okay, now let's connect the PC into the network. I will click on the wireless icon and let's connect to the staff SSID. I'll click on connect, and in the meantime, yeah, it is connected. So let's jump into the access tracker. We can see Alex is authenticated. It is EAP and it is showing as a non-compliant PC. And in the controller, if we jump into the controller, in the controller, if we click on the clients, we can see it is showing now as a non-compliant PC. Okay, let's change this compliance policy back into the normal position, the default position, and then let's verify the authentication back again. Okay, now we can see in the Intune device is showing as a compliant. So if we come into the ClearPass and the monitoring and the access tracker, we can see a new request came into the ClearPass. If you check that one, the enforcement profile, now it is showing as a Intune full access. Let's click in the control also. Yes, control also you can see it is showing as a Intune full access. So user role is changed. If we check the attributes which we receive in the both requests, we will go by one. So first we will check the full access one. So if you carefully check the attribute, we can see the Intune attributes also it is gathering from the ClearPass. You can see all the details and the username, all the details it is showing, and you can see it is compliant. So if we check the non-compliant one, this is the previous request. So if we click on the input and the computed attributes, under here we can see it is showing as a non-compliant, and that's it. You just now see how in the access tracker it's showing in the device with the compliant state and also with the non-compliant state. Same device, same credentials, but different compliant state. So based on this compliant state, we can assign different policies to the client. This is good for the production network, and that is the power of integrating Aruba ClearPass with the Intune. Okay, bonus tip, I will show you how I will define the compliance policy in the Intune. So this is my Intune dashboard. So you will come into the devices. In the devices, you will click on the compliance. Under the compliance you can see this create a policy. I will click on this one. So you need to select the platform. I will select the platform as Windows 10 and later, and the profile type it is asking. Profile type I will select the Windows 10 and 11 compliance policy, and I will click on create. So it will ask for the name. Give a decent name for this one. I will mention device compliant policy, and I will click on next. From here I will select system security. This one I will select required encryption of data storage on device. I will click on required, and then I will click on next. You can skip this one. I will click on next again, and in here I will select all the devices. So it will assign all the enrolled devices into my Intune, and then I will click on next, and I will click on create. So that's how you can create the compliance policy in the Intune. Before wrapping up, I just need to mention about 3 important points in this deployment. So I think it will be helpful for you when you are trying to deploy this scenario in your production network. So let me show you that one. Okay, so the first point which I want to highlight is the client secret expiry. If you remember, in the app registration, you can see it in here. In the app registration, when we are creating the secret, we have to define when is this key will expire. So like once this keys expire, ClearPass will be no able to fetch the attribute from the Intune. So we have to keep it in mind. If we are deploying this scenario, you have to keep some note or some calendar notification or something like that, the key expiry date. Once this key is expired, ClearPass cannot fetch the details from the Intune. Your authentication will work because we are updating the endpoint repository. So whatever the devices it connected earlier, it will have the data, but like if that device is went on non-compliant state after the compliant, we will not get those data because the key is expired. So keep it in mind, this is the very important one. We have to keep a note of this date when the key will expire. Second method is the sync interval. So if you remember, in the ClearPass guest module, under the administration, under the extension, we configured the client ID, tenant ID and the shared key in the ClearPass to fetch the details from the Intune. It's a API integration. So in there, if you remember, we have some other parameters also, like sync page size, enable sync all schedule. So by default this value is 30 minutes. So every 30 minutes ClearPass will request the data from the Intune. But if you want to get this data before 30 minutes, so you can fine tune this number, that number 10, like I am configuring it as a number 10. Every 10 minutes I am fetching this data. So in your production net, in your scenario, you can change this number based on your requirement, but keep it in mind, you will get API rate limit will come into the picture, like because every 30 minutes it will send the response towards the Intune. But if you reducing this number into the below, like I mentioned it as a 10, so every 10 minutes it will send, like that you have to adjust in your scenario based on your environment. So if I show in the logs, you can see the last sync was happening 9:40, and the next one you can see it is mentioning it as a this one, the next one it is mentioning as a 9:50, like a 10 minutes exactly. So every 10 minutes it will start fetching the details from the Intune. The third thing which you need to consider is MAC randomization. It's a common in mobile devices, but in a laptop it is not happening. So if you are using mobile phones also in the Intune, you need to consider about this one, because in the ClearPass we are saving these all the MAC addresses into the endpoint repository. So like in here, like all the details are saving inside of the ClearPass, but if MAC randomization is happening, it will cause an issue when you are trying to authenticate. That is the reason why certificate based authentication is best option if you are planning to deploy the Intune with the ClearPass. So we will cover that part in the next video. And that's it. Aruba ClearPass fully integrated with the Microsoft Intune. Now you have a working lab that can enforce device compliant at the network level. If you want to go deep in the part 2, we will discuss about enterprise level deployment, which it is EAP-TLS with the Intune by using the certificates, and that is the production grade implementation that you will see in the enterprise level. The full lab guide and the checklist will be available on my website letslearnnetwork.com, so you can go to my website and collect these details. Whatever we did so far in this video, all details will be available on my website. So if this video is helpful for you, subscribe the channel, click the bell notification. You will receive a notification when I upload my next video. Thanks for watching. I will see you in part 2.